Dave Cooper Live, we connect the industry leaders in the architectural, engineering, and construction space with the people, the products, and the processes to help them build it better. All right. According to this CEO, we need to build a resilient home every 15 seconds to catch up with the housing demand in the U.S. So this team is reinventing how homes are built. Think climate resilient, scalable, and automated. With background spanning tech giants like Amazon Robotics, they're building systems smart, small. With Pixels, to be exact, they believe their Pixels to parts building system will bring American craftsmanship into modern home manufacturing. That their innovative, feasible, scalable solution to advance housing affordability was worthy of the highly coveted Ivory Prize from Ivory Innovations. And well, Ivory Innovations team agreed. Please welcome the 2025 Ivory Prize winning company to Dave Cooper Live. Here to celebrate with us is Vikas Enti, CEO of Reframe Systems, marking his second appearance on the show. You're going to want to stick around because this one's going to challenge everything you thought you knew about prefab, modular construction, and the future of housing. Smarter, faster home building is starting now, right after we say a few words to our supporting members. So a big shout out to Cobalt Creed. They service builders, developers, prefab home builders, and manufacturers, allowing them to achieve the highest levels of comfort, indoor air quality, and low energy costs with their HVAC systems installed for their projects and their customers. Their approach is simple. By using their proprietary small duct, high velocity central heating and cooling system. To learn more, go check them out at cobaltcreed.com. And for the rest of you out there, make sure you thank these supporting members as well. Brought to you by Great Tech, developers of the complete light gauge steel and wood framing software for Revit StruxSoft. Off-site, modular, or prefabricated, StruxSoft Framer turns Revit into a powerful manufacturing tool, automating every step of the DFMA process from design to final delivery. StruxSoft doesn't just work with Revit, it transforms it. Jumpstart your designs at StruxSoftSolutions.com. Howick Ltd. has a long history of innovation in cold form steel manufacturing and producing innovative precision roll forming technology for customers throughout the United States and the world. Check out their machine buyer's guide for off-site modular construction or fast build construction with light steel for framing. Go to their website, howickltd.com. All right. Again, thank you to all of our supporting members and to all of the supporting members you see going across our screen below. We can't do any or all of this without your support out there. We are keeping this show live. We are keeping it unedited so you get the truth about where home building is going, and you get to learn about all the new exciting things that are out there. This is not a pay to play. This is Dave Cooper Live. All right, let's hop into the show. Let's bring on Vikas NT. Vikas, how are you, my friend?
Wonderful. It's great to be back, Dave. Thank you so much for having us.
Well, listen, it's great to have you guys back. I mean, come on, man. You're winning like awards, and you guys are growing. You got your housing going. You're going to be working in California. This is going to be a great show today, and I think people are going to be super excited about it. But before we hop into it, you were just on a few months back, I think at the end of 2024. Why don't you tell us what has changed since then, and then let's hop into what you guys are doing.
Amazing. Yeah. I think the last time we were on the show, we just wrapped up the first home we built. And yeah, since then, 2025 has been a great year. We're set to do about 30 times more in production volume than we did in 24. We've made significant strides on our software and robotics platform. And more importantly, we're looking to start expanding. I think the unfortunate circumstances with the wildfires in LA have also presented a conundrum, right? How do we actually build up the supply that's needed, but also the supply of the right type of housing? And this is where we believe that our focus on resilient housing that's really airtight, wildfire resilient, but also really built for higher wind loads and snow loads is the right solution for a lot of these cases. So we've leaned in to say, let's move in. Let's activate our plans to get to California 18 months ahead of schedule, so we can actually start building homes there at price points that are still equivalent to what prices were before the fires.
Yeah. So listen, what drove you to begin all of this? Like, I mean, did you just wake up one morning and say, "Oh, listen, we're gonna open a new factory. We're gonna bring robotics in. We're gonna just start building better across the country"? I mean, that's just not a normal conversation that happens.
It's not, but no, I mean, we're not living in normal times, and I think it's time for all of us builders here to be bold and lean into the solutions that are needed and solve the problems at play. Where we felt we had the right tools in our toolkit kind of stem from you mentioned pixels to parts in your intro. That's a big piece of the unlock. Is the software we've built that allows us to run our entire operations, go directly from our CAD model to parts that can be manufactured by the robot, by our apprentices, by all the CNCs that we have. But the other key piece in our approach is we believe that construction is a local play and an information play. And to this end, our whole model has been how do you build micro factories really quickly and deploy them to local markets. So we've been building these micro factories that, using experience from Amazon Robotics, how can we actually deploy them in less than 100 days? So when we looked at what was happening in LA, a couple of things became clear. We've been really hell-bent on trying to make sure that the building envelope we're coming as a standard offering is extremely airtight. We're exceeding passive house requirements on airtightness. And what we learned through the fires in LA is airtightness is a huge unlock when it comes to resiliency. Because even though the fires are starting on the outside, the way a home actually burns is from embers ingested into the home that's actually catching fire on the inside. So we realized that our focus on an extremely airtight envelope, having a highly insulated structure, triple pane windows, all the things that we offer for standard, is actually a superior structure that would benefit neighborhoods and localities that are susceptible to wildfires. And the second piece of the tools that we had was the actual factory that we knew we could deploy in 100 days, suggested that, hey, like we're going to have to rebuild at least 11,000 homes in a market that's already extremely undersupplied. We need to bring in new housing capacity. How do we do it? So we felt that we had the right tools, things that we were effectively building for the last 2.5 years. So we had our board meeting about 2.5 weeks after the wildfires, and it was a pretty candid discussion to say, hey, like this is going to be a pretty bold thing for us to do. It has a lot of risk, but we believe we have the right toolkits and the right backers to make sure that we can unlock the supply that's needed to be a big part of the rebuild solution. And that's been becoming a huge focus for us. And yeah.
So tell me a little bit about that. Are you making good progress with that? And is there some great opportunity getting in place for this to happen?
Yeah, we've been observing the situation closely. We are not in the business of spec building factories. We believe that one of the failure modes we observe time and again in the industry is you build a factory first and hope the demand comes. So the whole business model for us and the whole reason we want our factories to be deployed in less than 100 days is so that we can pre-book demand and then set up the factory that we need to sustain that demand. So it always allows us to risk mitigate. So we were pretty cautious here to make sure that we weren't setting up capacity too soon if the market wasn't ready for it. Right? There were two big concerns. Will the wildfire damaged sites actually be cleaned up quickly? Will all the debris removal take place soon enough so the sites can actually be buildable? And I just made my second visit to Altadena a couple of weeks ago. I'm happy to report that I've been impressed by the progress of debris removal there. Plenty of sites are actually ready to be rebuilt. And the second piece we've been super impressed with that's happening across LA County is the other holdup was going to be how long would it actually take to really get permits, right? Like historically, LA hasn't been the fastest in issuing permits, and trying to catch up with 11,000 new permits was going to be a challenge. We've been super impressed here. They've been bringing new tools to the mix. So software to the rescue here with some of their permitting checking software. We got to visit a couple of permitting officials. The most kudos to the county for setting up a really healthy culture. It was the most friendliest meetings we've had. And they've given us the confidence that they can issue permits for a like-for-like rebuild in less than 30 days. So that's the second unlock. So now we're starting to sign on customers. So our goal this year is to start off with at least 2 customers that we lock in. And you mentioned the Ivory prize. One of the things we're doing as part of it is we are going to be using all of the prize money we're getting from Ivory Innovations to subsidize one of the 2 homes that we're building this year. And the goal for us is to use this to unlock future demand and then be able to build about 50 plus homes next year.
Great. So, first of all, congratulations on the Ivory Prize and winning that. That's a big award. I think there's hundreds of entries that go into earning that award and winning that award. So, big shout out to you guys for that, and a shout out to the Ivory Innovations Group for all they do to support the industry as well. California, that is the first time I heard anybody talk great about any building department ever, first of all, but in California as well, because there was a real lag on reissuing permits. At least that's what the news has been telling us. So you're saying firsthand that you kind of heard that, hey, that wasn't the case when you guys were out there.
Absolutely. So again, first, thank you for the congratulations, the note there. I've been super excited about this award. It was highly unexpected, and I feel very honored. And we want to do right by the award and kind of put the money where our mouth is in terms of building more resilient housing. And shifting to California, we like to get into the details, and we did exactly that. We actually went in and spoke to the permitting officers for LA County who were issuing permits for Altadena.
Mm-hmm.
And they were very confident that they could get the first review done in 10 days, the second review in 4 days, and issue a permit after the second review. I've had no other permitting official give me timelines before, but the fact that this officer could not only give us timelines, but also say they feel very confident that they can abide by it is a sign, hopefully a sign for things to come.
Yeah.
Because as you know, the biggest blocker for most builders out there is uncertainty around permits, sometimes the uncertainty around financing. And I think the more we can do to unlock permitting timelines and get predictability there, I think there's going to be more homes that get built. So we're super excited about this.
So the world knows, the consumer especially, the people that are going to be living in your homes, what makes your homes different, for them, especially rebuilding in a fire-prone area. Why don't you tell us kind of the benefits of, the way you've designed this and the benefit to the end user?
Absolutely. So there are some, I'd say, misconstrued information out there. So in typical, I think as these fires took place, there was a lot of industry consortiums pushing their own materials, stating that you had to be building with a certain type of material to make sure you're truly non-combustible. I think it's important to acknowledge that this is a systems level problem. If you look at pictures from the wildfires, cars, metal buildings, everything burnt or was severely smoke damaged. So there's no one size solution that fits all. I think the way to solve for this is to choose the best material available to build the best high-performing envelope. And that's what Reframe's been focused on. Even before considering wildfires, we've been really focused on how do we build highly airtight, well-insulated envelopes, because that's just good practice. Like it's hard to do. It's good to build an insulated envelope, or it's easy to build an insulated envelope. You're just adding more insulation, but it's hard to build an airtight envelope because you need to start with the precision. And this is where we believe that factory-built housing in general has an advantage over site-built construction. So for a Reframe home, we've been really focused on a couple of things. Like, how do we build an envelope that's really airtight? How do we make sure we're really well insulated? We're typically exceeding local energy codes. As an example, the envelopes we're building for Massachusetts and New England, we typically are in the HERS 35 range before solar kicks in. And we could be as low as HERS 0 or somewhere between HERS 25 for some of our larger units. The first project we did, we had a HERS score of -25, and we weren't trying to do that. So we believe that airtightness actually starts giving us a lot of advantages there. The second thing we really focus on is making sure the materials we use in our homes ensure we have still high indoor air quality. Regardless of wildfires, we just want to make sure that our homes are really healthy to live in. So we've made some really good choices on materials for everything from low VOC materials for our paints and finishes, all the way to making sure some of our flooring components, as an example, we're picking materials that are actually a lot more renewable. We've used cork flooring before. We're using a European product that is a MDF wood composite, which has been really efficient. A lot of the insulation materials that we use on the insides are recycled cellulose or wood fiber, which again is both carbon negative, but more importantly has no off-gassing, does really well with sound attenuation, but also deals really well. It's even though it's made out of wood, it's actually Class A rated for fires. So I think overall we've been choosing materials that once we start looking at a full assembly level, at least as our exterior wall assemblies, we're easily able to achieve 1 to 2 hour fire ratings there. And that allows us to both meet and exceed some of the requirements that come around for wildfire urban interface or wildlife urban interface requirements. The second piece of this puzzle is how do you make sure that the surroundings around the home, right? So it's not just important that your home's well built, but you also want to make sure you're minimizing the chance of fires actually getting close to the home. So there's a lot of work that we have to do around the landscaping, work we have to do around external sprinklers, etc., that allow us to increase the odds of success and how we increase the resiliency of these structures. And this is one area Reframe's a little different than other modular factories in that we own the connection to the field. We don't see ourselves as just a modular component builder. We see ourselves as the end building builder, right? Probably or end home builder, where we take ownership of site integration. We take ownership of delivering a turnkey experience for our customers. This allows us to make sure that we're focused not just on the things we control in the factory, but we're also able to bring a lot of the same controls into the field, ensuring we have the same accuracies we have in the foundation systems, the landscaping, and everything else that has to surrounding it so that we have a highly resilient structure.
You talk about micro factories. Explain what a micro factory is versus a regular factory and why that makes such a big difference in the way you're looking at how your systems can be deployed around, the country and the globe for that matter.
Absolutely. So micro factory literally means a smaller factory, but the industry term actually encompasses a lot more than it. Like to us, a micro factory is not just smaller, but it's also a factory that you can deploy closer to where your customers are. So our micro factories are roughly the size of a garden center in Home Depot. Our goal is there's about 2,000 Home Depots across the country. We'd love to deploy a micro factory for every 5 or 6 Home Depots that are out there. But the piece that's also different in the micro factory is that it fundamentally breaks the assembly line. Traditional factories have all been built off of the assembly line production scale approach, where you're really constrained by the hardware of the assembly line. You're really constrained by the types of modules you can build and how you actually keep your line fed. So that approach has really worked well for large multifamily or large hospitality project. That's where you see some of the mega factories being really successful in doing it. But then you have downtime and you have to switch from one project to the other. And usually it's a feast or famine mode in that part of the industry. A micro factory is completely software driven. It's what we call software defined manufacturing, where you're really killing the assembly line. You're moving into what we call cell-based manufacturing, where you're decoupling every work cell. So what this really allows us to do is a couple of things. Like we finally have a fighting shot here for how can you build a factory that can mass customize homes? And we believe mass customization is key for success in increasing the penetration of offsite construction into home building. Even if you ignore what customers really want, right? And we actually believe customers don't need that much customization. They're really looking for a few choices. What really drives the need for customization is what it requires to make a home legal to be built, right? How do you comply with building codes, but more importantly, the 30,000 zoning jurisdictions that we have? How do we make sure we can actually comply with the unique site conditions with the overlay of zoning? This typically requires us to make changes to dimensions of a structure so you can abide by setbacks, change the dimensions of roof lines, fenestration ratios. There's a bunch of these oddities that is going to be an uphill battle for anyone to say we can standardize a product that actually meets all of these requirements. Instead, we've said we're just going to embrace the fact that we will always have to meet the site condition where the site is and meet the zoning where zoning is at. So how do we actually invent software and a manufacturing process that allows us to mass customize and produce a variety of homes, but also diversity of product types in the same factory? And we believe that this is what is going to make us do two things, like get more market share, be actually able to build on more lots that typically wouldn't qualify for traditional modular, but also to be able to build ADUs to apartment buildings in the same micro factory without having to change things over. And this way, we believe we'll also get resilience in the factory and the business itself, because each of these product types have different market cyclicality. And this gives us a lot of optionality in how we can mix and match our customer projects with the capacity in the factory.
Right. I mean, it's basically a kit of parts that, for the most part, anybody can come in, pick and design and just kind of put it together, whether it's an ADU or multifamily. Am I hearing you correct?
Absolutely. And the kit of parts here goes one layer beyond to the software we're building. In a couple of years, will actually allow the building to design itself and also have the building build itself. Right. I think that's the future we're envisioning. If you kind of think about the craftsmanship that goes into, like, be it at the architect level all the way down to our builders, so they're spending a lot more time actually reconciling the nuances of building codes and zoning codes and spending less time actually designing the home and designing the user experience on the architecture side for us. We'd love to take all the details out of the process so that our architects can actually focus on maximizing user experience and the design value of these homes. And by doing the same thing on the build side, where we're actually taking away all the material prep work, taking away all the repetitive tasks with automation, we'd love to get to a world where our builders can actually celebrate their craftsmanship by doing finish level work and actually focus on the finishes and not have to worry about what's behind the walls. And this is where we think we'll actually get to a really happy medium between how automation and augmentation work alongside everyone from our architects all the way to our build team. And what allows us to kind of get this leverage is how do you get to this common set of kit of parts, right? And I think to us, where the parts are a little different, you often hear about the analogy of a Lego brick, right? You have a set of bricks, and that's the size of, right? Like, you're constrained by the size of the brick. We see this a little differently. We actually believe that the moment you constrain a size, that is when you actually start constraining your ability to maximize value with the site condition or different types of sites. So we actually kind of see these as a kit of subsystems. How do we think about our bathroom as a subsystem where the size of the bathroom could change, the orientation could change, but we know that the actual components, the fixtures are pretty similar. The way we route our pipes are similar, right? Like, don't change the routing logic as much. Don't change the number of components in it, but the spatial arrangement should be changeable as a feature. And that's how we believe we can actually get to the widest range of optionality there. So another way to put it, like, how do we get to this world where the holy grail of getting all the flexibility you can get from panelized construction, but with the labor efficiency, predictability, regulatory compliance, and quality that you can get from modular construction? Like, that's the holy grail intersection we're trying to get to. And we got to change a few of the constraints, and we think, like, breaking the constraint of the box or the constraint of smaller boxes as the part is the first step for us.
Will it just be volumetric modular, or we also do panels if needed, depending on the location and site and access?
We're agnostic. So our factory today, everything gets built as a panel, and then we assemble them as a volumetric module as the last step. The primary reason that's driving us today, we have higher confidence in our labor efficiency in building the volumetric modules in the factory versus assembling them as panels on site. But there's also a regulatory gap. I think Utah and Virginia are a few steps ahead here, where they actually recognize closed panels. But across the country, there isn't a clear framework that allows us to ensure or guarantee that if I was to ship an enclosed panel to a job site that's a multi-trade panel, that we won't be asked by a local inspector to open it up, right? So there's no guarantee of it today. But when it's a closed volumetric module, right? I think that framework is really well understood. So we're waiting just to see how we kind of progress on the building codes to allow for enclosed panels.
Mhm.
There's also a couple of missing components today. Like we don't get to make blind connections as easily. Right? If we like to make panelized construction truly successful, the ideal end state is how do you get enclosed panels that can click fit, where you're able to click all the services together, embed your connectors within walls. Right? So some of these actually break codes in a few states. So we don't have full line of sight for that yet today, but we believe that is the future. And our whole goal is to make sure we're kind of protecting ourselves to the future. End of the day, again, defining ourselves as an end-to-end builder where we own the factory in the field gives us the flexibility to say some projects you might just ship a bunch of panels because we'll mix modules and panels to build end structure. So we'll do what's right for the customer and not have to really constrain ourselves by what is it that we can build in the factory versus what we can build on site.
Is the design software in your system, is it all proprietary, or are you using any of the off-the-shelf stuff that's out there?
So we use off-the-shelf software as the user layer, right? So we're obviously using Revit to do some of our concept design work, but where we kind of start shifting our whole focus is how we go from the concept design pixels into detailed design pixels. So we use a tool called Onshape, which is atypical for construction. It's a mechanical CAD system. It's a cloud-based CAD system where we're actually writing software to generate the CAD models that we need, but then also once those CAD models are fully baked, they have significantly high level of detail, every single fixture, pipe, wires modeled in it. We're then able to automatically convert that visual into instructions that go to our CNC saws or routers, to the robot, which is a first of a kind, but also to iPads that our builders use, right? Something we haven't seen happen anywhere else is how do you truly run a paper-free process? If you see the most advanced factory in the world today, right, you might have some really fancy automated lines that you're buying from Europe or even home built, but all of that only helps with framing. And then all the processes beyond that end up going down to paper-based drawings or PDFs of paper drawings that are shown on iPads where you're still relying on significant skill level to actually do your plumbing, wiring, HVAC.
Right.
Our whole thesis here is how do we continue to bring new trades into the workforce? Like how do we actually bring either general purpose labor or apprentices, but supercharge them? So we're running a paper-free process. The place where the Lego analogy works, if you remember the Lego assembly manuals, super colorful in 3D, very, very intuitive. And that's exactly what our apprentices and builders see on their iPads is the instructions to assemble a wet wall, to assembling our HVAC system or MEP rack. It's like highly codified, highly rich 3D visuals that are automatically generated from our CAD system. But we're also marking stuff, right? So as part of our material processing step, we actually will print instructions on our lumber, we'll print instructions on our sheet goods so that it looks and feels more like IKEA. We're actually getting, our next step is how do we get into this world of Pokeyoki, where parts only fit in a certain way. So you know the right way to fit stuff, it becomes more intuitive. So our instead vision is how do you do construction without needing a tape measure, right? Without having to like really resort to the traditional tools because everything just fits. We're not quite there yet, but we're making good progress in that direction where we already have all the instructions marked out, right? It's very intuitive for our builders. Like the screen as a backup, they can actually do a lot of the work is looking at instructions that are already printed on the lumber and the studs, but also on how we pre-cut our pipes and label them, etc. So to us, we feel like there is the whole pixels to parts approach, right? While it starts on the CAD platform, the real place it shines is how do you give apprentices superpowers? Like how do you actually treat this truly as an information problem and present higher quality information that requires lower skill level or lower levels of training to accomplish success?
Yeah, I mean, basically, you're solving some of the labor issues, right? And then when we say that, more on the skilled labor, if you can have everything where it's a plug and play diagram system, you're opening up the workforce to so many more people to have the opportunity to enter the trades that don't need to have the higher level of framing skills that once were required for on-site construction. I think it's a brilliant way forward. I also think the color coded system, I've been seeing that now a few times as well. Makes a lot of sense because it's easy to look at a wall and go, oh, it's just a wall. But when you start breaking those walls apart, there's a lot of parts and pieces in just one wall, let alone an entire house and roof and floors. So that is great. And I also think for the trades as well, they can do more with less too, right? Because they're having a hard
Absolutely.
time getting skilled training as well. So with your system, Vikas, how do you train people on this? So you've developed this system. You have robots in your factory. The robots not only are cutting and helping you build, but they're also labeling the material so it matches the plans and the color coding. But then you ship it out. Walk us through how the trades know what to do when this stuff arrives.
Yes, in general, we have a human in the loop system. So even when we're processing material, right, we have a person screening lumber initially. They've been trained on, right, like quick checks for like what is the uh, like what does the quick selection look like for lumber that we're going to continue to use, right, especially on our studs and things that we're going to discard. We're still looking for better sources of supply for lumber here, and like they're effectively looking at instructions that right are presented on their iPads. If this is the first time or first day on their job, right, we have an ambassador assigned to them that kind of walk them through the process. But the expectation is that the process is simple enough that by day 2 or day 3, they're all independent and they're working through it. And we've had some really good examples here. So we actually have 4 high school students from a local technical school that are doing their co-op with us. And they've been learning every aspect of the process over time, right? In the last couple of months they've been here, they've learned how to operate all of our CNC saws and routers, all the way through how to actually go do some of the more challenging work around wiring and plumbing. A lot of this just has to do with the process where we're right, allowing them to shadow a more seasoned professional in the facility as a couple of days, but then starting to really defer to using the annotated views that we have on the iPads that give them the instructions they need. And again, this is something that comes from experience that we had at Amazon, where right, we made the process simple enough that we could hire someone right, who started at 8 a.m. in the morning, and by end of their shift, they were already at learning curve. And that's the goal for us: is how are we able to build a system and make it simple enough that we could hire someone who's completely new to the trades, get them safety trained on all the tools that they need to use, but have them be really self-sufficient within a day, so they're also feeling that they're right, learning quickly. They get the sense of accomplishment, and also like that drives more engagement as they continue going through the process. So to us, like I think at the end of the day, there is like our goal is to leverage software and automation to increase efficiency. There is, right, like I said, is like we need to build a home every 15 seconds. There's no shortage of homes that need to be built. We just need to figure out how to be right, build more homes per person in the factory or in the field. And I think that's the name of the game for us: is how do we increase efficiency there and bring in a new type of worker into the workforce, because we're really not seeing a lot of the influx.
How do I work with you, Vikas? You know, I'm out here, I'm watching the Dave Cooper live show, which hopefully everybody in the world is watching these days. But honestly, you know, as a builder, a developer, a consumer that needs a new house, what does my process look like with you, and how do we get started?
Absolutely. So today we're active in New England, where we're working with right, developers, GCs, sometimes with end consumers. Like our target customer is a developer, where you're reaching out to us because you found a land parcel, you're trying to figure out what to do with it. And we kind of come into the turnkey option where we almost serve as a co-developer. We're helping you figure out what is the best value for the land in terms of structure that could be built by right, how long it's going to take with our building blocks, and the cost for it. And we typically kind of stay with you in that process from initial entitlement all the way through occupancy. And we're also starting to become active on the West Coast, especially in Southern California. Here, we're currently focused very much on helping residents in Altadena and the Palisades rebuild their homes. We're focused on a single-story bungalow product that's going to be between 1,200 to 2,000 square feet in size, which allows us to meet the like-for-like rebuild requirement. So in both of these cases, the best way to engage with us is to reach out to us on our website. We've got a very lightweight form that allows us to collect some quick details to be effective in how we can engage with you. So please visit us at reframe.systems, and you'll see a bright green button on the top right. Please click that and fill out the form. All free to give us a call. The number is listed on the bottom of the website. That's the easiest and fastest way for us to get started.
Yeah, and I got the website up here on the screen, and you can see the little green contact us button up in the right-hand corner. I mean, there's so much information in here about the process, the factory, the Southern California rebuilding. So yeah, definitely go to Reframe Systems if you want to check them out and learn more. And definitely, you want to work with them. Come on, who doesn't? I like working with Vikas. Hey, listen, the bottom line is this, Vikas: people work with people they like, right? And people, what they care about is getting what they pay for. They care about, working with people that are professional, with digital age and everybody with technology. There is no more not returning phone calls and I can't find my contract, right? These are all real problems that our industry has, right? And contractors get a bad name. But in your system, in offsite in general, there's a process. There's a pens down or pencils down moment, and there are timelines because you're going to build something and it needs to go to the job site so the consumer knows that this is coming. There is no more delays and material delays and all of that. You might have it a little bit in the factory here and again when you're ordering, but there's a whole lot of pluses to this to make the consumer super excited, super happy, and comfortable with the process. And it all starts with working with people like yourself that they can relate to and understand it.
Absolutely. I think one thing that factory built housing has huge advantage on is predictability.
Yeah.
We get to control so much of the process that a traditional on-site builder is unable to, and I think that's an advantage that we just need to keep compounding over time and exceeding our customers' expectations there.
Absolutely. Tell me about the team. How big is your team now? And I'm going to add a photo here just to put them on the stage as well, because I think it's important. I mean, this is the beginning team right here, but there's more coming, right?
That's right. So this was the team that worked on building our first project last year. Since then, we've roughly doubled in size. So we've added a lot more people to the factory side of the business. I've been really building out some more of the licensed trades, but also bringing more apprentices in. We've added a couple more key technical talent on our software stack side, and just increased our capabilities on design and estimation and project management. So we're starting to look and feel more like a full stack shop. As we continue to make, literally start breaking ground in California, my expectation is I will start hiring a couple more people in Southern California initially so we can continue driving demand. And as I said before, like we always want to be able to have capacity precede or demand precede capacity. So our goal for the way we would actually operationalize and get more local capacity in California is how do we continue building demand so we can book enough customers there. So that'll be our focus of hiring later this year is adding more project management and sales capacity in California to start, and then eventually manufacturing capacity.
I mean, that is awesome. And what kind of help can people give you if you're out there watching this and they want to be part of what you're building? Is there an opportunity outside of just being a team member to have an opportunity to work with you to build these micro factories across the country?
Absolutely. Tell your friends about us. But also, if you're connected to your local stakeholders when planning, if you know people looking for homes that need to be rebuilt, especially in Southern California, do let your friends know about us. So at the end of the day, this is I think we need to get the message out. And to us, we also see this as a collaborative effort where we're not the only offsite builder out there. There's a couple more that people need to be aware of. We believe that we can offer a superior solution to traditional on-site construction, especially when it comes to speed, predictability, and cost efficiency. But also for areas where we're trying to rebuild after wildfires, also getting you a lot more airtight, resilient structures. So I think I request listeners out there to tell your friends and increase awareness for offsite as a viable solution for problems, especially the rebuilds.
Because what haven't we brought up? What is it that you'd like to talk about that maybe I didn't ask the right question on?
I think we covered some really key topics here, Dave. I think if I was to kind of step out of just my role at Reframe and kind of talk about, like as another home builder out there, if there are policymakers listening to this episode, one plea I would make on behalf of the industry is while we're able to deliver predictability on the manufacturing process and the on-site install, the place that we don't have control over, and we request policymakers to look into this, is how do you drive predictability on the permitting side? The day we can get the same level of predictability that LA County offered us is the day every builder can actually start making more concrete plans to unlock more supply across the country. And I think this will be my plea is let's bring more predictability into the permitting and inspections process. Let's not make that a black box that is highly uncertain. How do we get to a world where we know we can get permits in less than 15 days? The technology is there to unlock it. I think the will is there and people need this. So that would be my request that transcends beyond just reframe systems, but to help the industry as a whole.
Yeah, 100%. Sometimes it feels like we're, trying to put a round peg in a square hole, or so to speak, right? Because we're working with an older code system for site construction, and it makes it difficult. And I think you're absolutely right. I think there needs to be a stronger look at and how we get through our predictability and process from a manufacturing standpoint, like other manufacturers in the world, which allows us then to only have to work with the state regulation, right, and what they have. So Vikas, thank you, man. Really appreciate you coming back on the show, and congratulations on the Ivory Prize Award. Super happy for you guys, and I'm pulling for you. And I think most of the industry, if not everybody in the world's pulling for you and a better system. And we truly have affordability, sustainability, and a housing crisis, not just here in the country, but globally.
Absolutely. No, thank you so much for having me back, and excited for the future here.
Yeah, and we're excited too. So Reframe Systems, everybody, go check them out. Go to their website as well. They are going to reframe the way you build, as you see on the screen there. Vikas NT was our guest today. And for the rest of you out there, guess what? It's Wednesday. You got 2.5 days to keep building it better. So while you're watching me, you need to get out there and do something, but not yet, because you got to also thank the supporting members as well. And again, if you want to be part of the Dave Cooper Live supporting members team and get invited to our executive events and even have a chance to come on the show. How's the show been for you? Because has it been good for you?
It's been amazing. I think we've learned so much from this show. It's part of the onboarding for our team, is to watch a couple of episodes across the different sets of builders and technologies we've covered. So it's been great.
I love it. Well, listen, I appreciate that. Thanks for the plug. All right, everybody. That's a wrap for us today. Vikas, don't go anywhere. I'll come back to you after the outro of the show. But for the rest of you out there, get out there and keep building it better. We need to solve what's going on around the world and in this country. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching. What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you. And as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching.